Oh, hi there. Since I was up, I figured I'd talk a little bit more, specifically more into involuntary celibacy and the weaknesses that come about that. Okay, for starters, as an involuntary celibate, you're disconnected from the rest of the world. Um, it really feels like that you've been left out. You've been put somewhere, put in your place, you're in a bubble for whatever reasons. And the whole world is still spinning around while you're sitting still. If you're not thinking, that is. I'm always thinking, so, like that's not the case with me. However, I've not had the sexual conquests I would have preferred. I haven't had any, as a matter of fact. Um, Half a dozen or so chicks I knew from high school, and that was about it. And it was not anything of fluid transfer. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was the weaknesses of certain people who are involuntary celibates. It's not a weakness for me, but other people would not see it that way because they choose not to. They choose to go, oh, Ryan doesn't understand this. Ryan doesn't know what's going on. Ryan this, Ryan that. And I sit here and go, yeah, I actually do understand that part of it. And the problem with involuntary celibates is sometimes they can be douchebags. And once they step out into the world, the general community feels that they can manipulate them into thinking whatever they want to. And not only that, they could end up stuck with a woman. Um, and, that woman may not be the best fit. It's a question at the time. I have met certain women throughout my life, and I go, "Hey, this chick ain't so bad. I can hang out with her for a while, and it not get weird." Um, However, obviously there are women I have not met, and there are other women I have not met that I probably would dislike if I knew them. And I don't particularly blame people who make foolish mistakes. But if they're driven and spiteful and uh, just genuinely trying to dismantle everything I've tried to accomplish, which is the fear I have with going with Asian women. It's not that I couldn't, date an Asian woman and it not being an issue. It's more got to do with the psychology of it and what will be said afterwards. And I'm working on the premise it doesn't matter which chick I go with, they're gonna have the same mindset as that, that I'm stuck with them. And I'm saying that that's not necessarily the case. In fact, I prefer it wasn't, because I got things to do. But obviously, I'm not a quagmire. I'm not one of these people who just wants to go around and fuck everything in sight, because that is a mental disorder, in my opinion. Um, However, there are a lot of things to consider. For one thing, I've developed an ideological belief system that other people aren't going to share. They're not going to have the same ideological mindset that I've got. And like I've already expressed why I dislike Asia, why I hate that whole area of the world. And it's not the same conclusion that other people have come to. And it really does boil down to they know that they're the bad guys, and they want to share the planet with them, or they've got the more Thanos ideological belief system, and they go, we can't share the planet with these people. These people are gonna the evil in the world will never go away unless they're out of power at very least. Like that whole country, China, as a whole, because it's not one single unified country. It just isn't. It's a whole bunch of conglomerates that are formed into one country. it's very difficult to have a singular country. It just simply is because there's too many people in power who have different mindsets on where the country wants to go. And they simply agree to a name like China or the United States or whatever, and they continue doing that. And this is my point exactly, is that there will be women who will go, oh, you have a Nazi military collection. That means you're a racist. That means you're the worst person in the world and you deserve to be abused and you deserve to be in mental health. And it's like, oh, no. That doesn't make any fucking sense. But there are a lot of people out there who just don't listen. They get in a train of thought and they fucking go berserker mode when you question them. And why aren't they in straitjackets? Like, honestly, why not? I mean, you're so willing to do it to other, poor, unfortunate people. Why don't you do it to people who are raging bull assholes? Why don't you do it to them? I don't know. But these are all factors because there are things I've got to consider when going out into the world and meeting women. They got to be the right type of women. They got to be, nice, good looking. They have to be good looking. At this point, I've earned it. Um, Not too well used. I don't want to say used. Yes, I do want to say used. I don't want experience is not a flattering title for a woman to have. And unfortunately, when they're decked out in tattoos, that's what it says. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, perhaps if she's not bad looking, I'll put her somewhere at the back of the list or something, somewhere around there, probably around the Y category in my Rolodex, if I get to that point. This is, of course, if I survive without, the women going nuts on me. That there's no guarantees about because of how handsome I am. Because that is the problem why I can't score chicks. I'm too damn handsome, and I got nobody will back me up, and that's a problem because there are rolling. I don't know what to call them. I'll just call them gangs. Rolling gangs of people, and they have different ideas of what I should be doing. And this is when you start to feel like you're small, like you don't get to make the choices. And it's like, no, excuse me, I do get to make the choices actually because I'm not that small. But they don't want to look at it that way. They want to believe what they want to believe. That's the problem with society. One of the problems with society. And this sort of situation should never really come about, but it does because of reasons. And I'm not concerned that I'll never be able to score a chick because that's what they'd like. They'd like to laugh at me, going, "Oh, look at me, can't score a chick," and they'll point at every flaw I have, and it's like, yeah, but you have a malignant, disgusting, pus-ridden brain. Why are you as a person better than me because you have a chick? I'm asking the YouTube community this. Why are they better than me? Because they have a chick and I don't. Like there are women out there that aren't of high quality. That's a fact of the matter, and you're better off on your own sometimes. Being a voluntary celibate, going, I don't really want to go with this chick. um, it's funny to look at it that way though, because immediately as an involuntary celibate, you're expected the second any chick comes along, you're supposed to be lusting after them already, and it's like, yeah, I'd like to have a chick, but she's got to be the right one, obviously, because or not the right one, but the right type of chick. I don't want to say one because obviously there's more than one chick that could be a good fit, but that all has to be determined when more facts are present. As I said, I have one or two favorites, but that's something else on its own. Um, yeah. It's extremely difficult to talk about this subject without either sounding like an egomaniac or pathetic, miserable, or just generally lame. I don't feel any of those things, but it's difficult to discuss this subject without sounding like those things, because that's all people want to do is they want to go, "Oh, look, you're pathetic. You can't score a chick. You're pathetic. You can't score a chick." And it's like, are you trying to put some reverse psychology on me? Trying to go, "Oh, well, if he feels bad about his sexual prowess, then we can manipulate him easier." It's pretty much a huge kick in the balls to anyone who's not prepared for it. But I am prepared for that, and words aren't going to hurt me if they're, directed towards me and I actually hear them. It's when the person turns or the people turn around and tell other people things that are just outright lies and people believe them. Those are worse insults. And unfortunately, women are very good at doing that. I don't know how the social mechanisms work where they don't tell the person cannot find out that these people are trash talking them, but they have their ways. And, getting back to Asian women, is that you could spend a lot of time with an Asian woman, and if they don't want to tell you something, it's very difficult to extract that information out of them. Me as a white guy, I'll just simply tell people. Um, you want to know what I think about a certain subject? You want to know what my hobbies are? I'll tell you. I got a Nazi militaria collection back there. Um, I don't have a problem saying that to people. But there are a lot of people who like to hide and deceive people and go out of their way specifically so that people cannot learn anything about them. And I'm of the firm belief that the first few women that come around, and it's actual physical time, I'm going to question whether I can trust them or not. And I know how to ask questions and get answers, whether it's a direct answer or not. And it's something I'm going to have to be vigilant about because odds are these women are going to have friends, not just women friends, but male friends who are going to influence a relationship that they should have no business in interfering with. They shouldn't, but they will because that's simply the way it's going to go down. I know that for a fact. One of these days, anyway, one of these damn days. And I don't even look at my time as being an involuntary celibate. I mean, other than the extreme sore throat and the no chicks, as being entirely as a negative. Like, I had a lot of time to reflect. I was able to shore up my mental stability as to who I am as a person. And I know people talk, and I don't really care. Um, it's not gonna hold me back or cause me any undue stress or anything like that because I'm simply going to ignore them because um, if they want to be negative about a subject, then that's their prerogative. But I don't want to be negative about subjects. But I have to be aware that there are certain problems that are going to come about, and what best way of dealing with them. Yeah, without obviously telling too much at this point in time in front of a random YouTube audience that I'd have no idea who's watching these videos. I really don't. It's it's not the greatest thing not being able to score chicks. Obviously, you want to be able to score chicks, but you obviously don't want to be stuck with the wrong kind of chicks. Like ones that believe it's perfectly all right to lie to you over and over and over again, and they don't want to tell you anything, and they don't want to, they get up to bad things and they make decisions where you're not involved, but it's about you, and they think that they can be, you know, manipulative as far as with the people that are around you, sort of atmosphere. And well, as I said in another video, sometimes it is simply your environment is the reason why you can't score chicks. For some people, that is the reason. However, for me, it's not the only reason. I could go to different places, and it's like this cloud follows me wherever I go. However, I like clouds. I like rain. I like storms. Obviously, not tornadoes and things like that, but like a storm, a Vancouver storm. I like those. They're not too out of control, and they're groovy. They're ambient. Um, yeah, so there isn't really much for me to be afraid of if I play my cards right as entering the social world at some point, being in the right environment. Um, However, I'm not quite there yet. First of all, yeah, I've got to, get myself sorted out as far as as the factors. I'd like to be in better shape for one thing. That would be nice. Um, However, we're gonna have to wait and see about all those things. There's too many unknown factors, and they must be considered. Um, so anyway, I didn't talk too much about women, and in this video, even though it's a video about involuntary celibacy, I talked about some of the problems that are the reason why there's an involuntary celibacy on me in the first place. Because I want to make the video, but I don't want to give too much information. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we'll see you later.